Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture is titled NGC 188, Old Cluster in the New General Catalog. So, what do we see here? Well, here we see the open star cluster known as NGC 188, and that's number 188 in what is known as the New General Catalog, published back in the late 1800s, and kind of consolidated all of the work of the Herschels, William, John, and Caroline, who put together observing a lot of objects that were not specific stars. Some of the objects in there are nebulae, some are clusters of stars, some are galaxies. So it's all different types of objects there. So while it's titled the New General Catalog, it is actually not very new anymore, being well over 100 years old at this point. Now, this cluster is an example of an open star cluster. An open star cluster is a relatively loose grouping of stars. Often they don't live for a very long period of time, so they tend to be filled with very young stars. This is an exception to that. This is a cluster that is a little bit older, and in fact 7 billion years old, very old for an open star cluster. In fact, it's closer in age to many of the globular star clusters that we often see. Now, we can estimate the age of a star cluster by looking at the stars within it. What we do is we look for the oldest stars that are still in their main lifetime, what we call a main sequence star. Those are stars that are burning hydrogen into helium in their cores. The most massive of those that still exist, and if we figure out how long those live, tells us the age of the cluster, because the stars in a cluster all form at approximately the same time. Therefore, they age only based on their mass, the most massive stars going through their lives fastest, and the lowest mass stars lasting the longest. So when we find where that point is where the stars are just leaving the main sequence, that tells us the age of the cluster. And we can use this for open star clusters or globular star clusters, will allow us to be able to determine ages this way. And in this case, we find that it's about 7 billion years old. And again, that's very old for an open star cluster. They are generally not enough mass within them to hold them together, to remain gravitationally bound. And that means they slowly spread out over time, dispersing their stars among the general stars within a galaxy. But in this case, there is enough mass to continue holding on to this one, and it continues to remain as an open star cluster even after billions of years, long after most of the open star clusters we know will have completely dispersed. So that was our picture of the day, titled NGC 188, Old Cluster in the New General Catalog. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.